What's up, YouTube? I wanted to talk a little bit about intermittent fasting. How do I know about it? Because I did it for a long time. In fact, I did it for years. I really didn't know what I was doing until I learned a little bit more about it on the internet, from YouTube, whatnot. Actually, the Hodge twins is where I came across it. I used to deal with a lot of weight problems. I would be fat, skinny, growing up since I was a child. So I always was into bodybuilding, but I was like a bodybuilder, powerlifting looking kind of cat that was real overweight. At one point I hit 300 pounds, just straight up fat. And then I stopped eating 5 hours before bed, and lo and behold, I started training and I started losing weight. So little by little, as time passed, I started to gain the weight back. So I got pictures, basically the changes I've had in my life as time went by through the years. So you guys will see these pop up through this video. Anyway, after I learned about intermittent fasting a little bit more, we did some reading and research and started figuring out a plan and like an eating window that worked best for me. So I started with an 8-hour eating window. So after a couple months with the 8-hour window, I worked my way towards a 6-hour eating window. I started losing weight. I started losing crazy weight. I actually started my diet around 272 pounds. I dropped down to about 260, 255, but I did that through keto. And then it would halted. I couldn't lose no more weight. So what I did is then I started implementing intermittent fasting. That's where the 8-hour window came in, then the 6-hour window, and I ran with that for a while. I lost more weight. Eventually, I moved over to a 6-hour eating window, and then I switched over to a 5-hour, and then eventually to a 4-hour eating window. And I got as extreme as I finally went down to a 1-hour eating window, meaning I was fasting for 24 hours every single day. I did that for 3 months. And basically, believe it or not, it was not that hard, but what I did is
it was not that hard because we were doing it slowly.
Well, yeah, I worked my way to it.
Right.
But I did this 6 days a week, and then the day 7, which was either a Saturday or Sunday, I had like epic cheat day, and to this day I still have an epic cheat day, but more like cheat meals. But I basically eat whatever I want once a week. So anyway, what I ended up doing is doing this 24-hour, and I did it for 3 months, and I dropped all the way down to 205. Now, there will be a picture that probably pop up as a little blurry, but you can basically see I started looking more like a men's physique, which was not really my look. I mean, I lost a ton of muscle. I must have lost somewhere around 15 to 20 pounds of muscle. I mean, my body, and believe it or not, I didn't get shredded. I got lean, but I was still holding fat all the way around my body in certain areas, because for some reason, with intermittent fasting, you will stop losing weight. In fact, you are losing weight, but you're losing muscle. Your body will eventually stop burning fat. There's ways around that, but through intermittent fasting is not the way to get ripped. You will not get ripped. In fact, that dense, hard look, you will never get that through intermittent fasting. So what I ended up having to do when I dropped down to 205 is we had to change things around. We started learning about macros. We started studying things from like Milo Sharchev and Chris Lucido, but I was still implementing intermittent fasting. So we started opening up my window. I moved it up from a 4-hour to a 6-hour. Eventually, I started putting mass back on. I put on another 10 pounds, 15 pounds of lean mass after a few months. So I realized, okay, now macros are in order. We have to figure that part out. So we started figuring out my protein, my carbohydrates, my fats. To this day, we're always trying to pluck around with them. But as we learned, I realized I ain't going to get super lean until I opened my window all the way up. And eventually, I was up to 7 meals a day, and I totally got shredded. Pretty much. I mean, I'm still holding a little belly fat way at the bottom, but that's because I used to be really overweight. I got a lot of extra skin that I got to work on right now. But so through the 7 meals and tracking our macros, which I was taking in about 1.5 grams of protein per body pound, and my carbohydrates are actually, I keep them low. For some reason, I do a lot better with low carbs, so I always stay under 200, anywhere from between 150 and 200 carbs a day. And my fats, I usually keep about 50, 60, and under. I run best, I burn the most fat that way, and I'm able to keep most of my mass. And I'm at 230 pounds. I probably hold about 10 pounds of fat on me right now, but I can drop my fat really easy. with the frequent meals now. The more frequent meals I have through the day, it seems the more fat that I lose.
So bro science is right.
So yeah, bro science, believe it or not, is right. But what I do, which seems to work really well with me, because there's 3 different type of body types that we'll eventually talk about, or Yasmina will eventually bring this up, but I'm the type of body type that I can't have carbs through the whole entire day. My body will just not, they don't use it. So my basic carbs stay around my training. So I train early. So I typically wake up, say around 12 in the afternoon, because I work nights. I work 11-hour shifts. So I get home about 6 in the morning, 5 to 6 in the morning. I go to bed. I wake up around 12, and usually within an hour I'm at the gym. So I'll have my carbohydrates right there, which would be yogurt and some rice cakes, which you'll see in some of the videos of me making my pre-workouts or my post-workouts. And then after I get back from the gym, I take in the rest of my carbs. Again, they're anywhere between 100 to 200 grams of carbs, depending on where I'm at, and if I'm training legs or depending on what I'm training. After that, I basically, the rest of the day, the rest of my meals is all protein. So, you know, we don't count our vegetables as carbohydrates because they're fibrous carbs. But me personally, I don't eat too much greens because I just don't do well. They give me a ton of gas, and I have a real hard time with them. So I stick to a lot of fish, you know, some turkey, stuff like that. I stay away from red meats, even though it's good to have some red meats in there because of the branch aminos. It's kind of a fuller, and it stays through your system a little longer. Usually, if you're going to eat a little bit of red meats, you want to do them towards the end of the night, so you have enough protein synthesis to actually run through you through the night until the morning. But regardless of all that, I wanted to kind of go through intermittent fasting. Does it work? Yes, it works, but it's not for everyone. If you're just trying to overall lose weight in general, and you really don't care about holding muscle or losing muscle, which to me is a big deal, I work really hard for all this muscle, then intermittent fasting works. But be careful, because it will suck you dry. In fact, my face started looking all like a freaking skeleton, and that wasn't cool. And then, you know, even my neighbor thought I was sick one day. So just because of
the family too,
you know, the family and whatnot. I mean, it works, man. You're gonna lose a ton of weight. But I dropped all the way to 205. I haven't been 205 since I was like 21. You know what I mean? And I'm 37 now. Somebody
was asking what you were eating when you were doing
I mean, fasting. I was eating a huge epic meal. That one meal I was having a day was a 6-egg meat lover's omelet with hash browns, feta cheese, pita, and a large bowl of chili. And I pretty much, that and a couple cucumbers I had. That was around, 2,300 calories overall. Macro-wise, I don't even know what it was. I mean, we figured it out. It was something.
We were not counting it that time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fats and stuff like that, which, in my personal opinion, I think what was happening is because I would eat that meal around 5 o'clock post-workout, and I would, after that meal, I'd crash a little bit, but then what it would end up happening is around 11 o'clock that night, I personally feel my body was switching over to ketosis, because there was no way there was enough carbs or anything in that meal to be able to actually fuel my body. So I'm pretty sure that my body was burning ketones as fuel, you know, basically burning through fat. But eventually there was something going on. But I mean, my personal opinion, if you guys want to use intermittent fasting, which works, I would stick to around a 6-hour to an 8-hour eating window. 6 hours max. Don't go any crazier than that. Maybe once in a while, you know, maybe for a week or something, if you want to do like a cleanse, you know, do the 24-hour fast for about 5 days. I personally am a firm believer in it, and I'm not against it. In fact, I would probably intermittent fast again once, maybe twice a month or something like that. But overall, if you're trying to keep lean mass and actually lose fat, you need to have frequent meals, and you got to watch your macros. You got to understand, protein is key. You have to have enough protein in your body, anywhere from 1 gram per body pound to 2 grams, depending on how active and how hard you hit it in the gym. Most people, it's usually about 1 gram. And your fats, always keep them half your body weight or less. So if you weigh 200 pounds, keep your fats under 100 grams a day. I keep mine even lower than that, but then there's hormone issues that you can deal with sometimes, especially with women. And carbohydrates is what you need to figure out. That's the main part for you, for anybody. You got to figure out what kind of body type you are, how fast your metabolism is. I have a friend that has a super fast metabolism, so he can eat carbs all through the day, and his body burns through them, and he needs those carbs because that's the only way he can actually put muscle on. Me personally, I'm more of an easier gainer. So I really don't need I don't need that much carbohydrates, believe it or not. I mean, I run sufficient. I got crazy energy off 150 grams a day. So if I was to take them in a little bit later in the day, I end up getting tired. My body runs better on just running off fats, like from fish and stuff like that. But that's pretty much all I think some of the good information. If you guys have any questions, just post at the bottom. I'll come back with some more details, actually. But if you have any, hopefully this helped, and appreciate you guys.